They are the kings of the skies and terrors of the earth. Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we'll be counting down our picks for the top 10 dragon battles in video games. For this list, we've gathered up some of the most deadly fire breathers that we've gone up against in video games. Be warned that many of these fights are set during the climax of the games in question, so you've been warned. Number 10, Ancient Dragon, Dragon's Crown. Starting off our list, we have the final boss from this 2D fantasy RPG. After journeying through this action-packed adventure, you make your way to the illusionary lands where you come face to face with the humongous ancient dragon.
You step forth into the illusionary lands. The goddess's powers of resurrection cannot reach you here.
Everything in this battle is a visually marvelous experience, thanks to the stellar animation and sheer scope of the dragon itself. From his fire blasts, to his use of magic, to his constant movement in and out of the background, every detail makes this a real nail-biter of a finale. But hey, at least you don't have to go it alone. Number 9, Synthesis, The Witcher 2, Assassins of Kings.
Protect the king!
When it comes to a series about slaying mythical beasts, it's no surprise that Geralt of Rivia would find himself fighting one of these bad boys. First appearing in the game's prologue, this toothy monster only adds to the mystery surrounding Geralt's quest to prove his innocence. It's only in the game's climax where the dragon reappears, now under the control of the sorceress Philippa.
The dragon's back!
In the end, Geralt makes his stand on the top of a tower, fighting the dragon as it flies and crawls around him, breathing fire and taking swipes at him. In true Witcher fashion, the dragon's fate is ultimately left up to you and the decisions you've made beforehand. Number 8, Seath the Scaleless, Dark Souls. While the Ancient Dragon from Dark Souls 2 and the Nameless King from Dark Souls 3 were both valid picks, in the end we felt that the misshapen Seath should be given this spot to represent this much beloved series. Though your first encounter ultimately leads to your death, it's only during your second meeting inside the Crystal Cave that you get your second win to really show him who's boss. While his appearance is very different from your usual garden variety dragon, he makes up for his lack of legs with his devastating crystal breath and regenerative health. It's only when his crystal is destroyed that you can turn the tables on him and add another few hundred souls to your collection. Number 7, the Ferelden Frostback, Dragon Age Inquisition. Come on, is it really surprising to see this series on the list? While the Archdemon from the first game gave us a truly epic climax, we decided to go with another in the form of the Ferelden Frostback. Located in the hinterlands, this angry mother starts off by using a mix of fire and wind to cover her sides as you attack her limbs. After a while, she can take off and summon her dragonlings to overwhelm you. As one of the first fights to really force you to strategize your whole party, as well as giving you your first taste of dragon slaying in a game called Dragon Age, it more than justifies its spot on this list. Number 6, Argarok, The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess. On this epic quest to save the kingdom of Hyrule from the power of the Twilight Realm, Link and Midna find themselves at the home of the Uka tribe, located way up in the sky, in the hopes of finding another piece of the Twilight Mirror. The only problem is the shard has turned into a dragon of sorts and is now terrorizing the city. Utilizing both his iron boots and his newly upgraded dual claw shots, the player must do whatever they can to maneuver around while avoiding the dragon's fire so that they can eventually bring him to his knees. It's easily a highlight for the game, and maybe even for the whole series. Number 5, Gore Magala, Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate. Next up, we have one of the deadliest hunts against this game's flagship monster. What's special about Gore Magala is that it carries what's known as the Frenzy Virus, which can leave the player's attack and defense severely weakened if the infection isn't treated. The Gore Magala is also technically blind, but you won't really notice when he's barreling down on you. While it starts out mostly firing dark projectiles towards you, soon enough it pulls out the big guns by utilizing its extra limbs so it can crush you into the ground. He's really quick for a big guy, and the fight is brutal. But hey, he didn't get to be in the opening cutscene by being a pushover now. Number 4, Glamour, Bayonetta 2. It's a battle that takes place while surfing along the side of a giant water spout. Need I say more? Okay, well, out of all the dragons on this list, this angelic design stands out by being one of the most bizarre, with what can only be described as a dragon wearing gold jewelry with a human face on its chest. Of course, the water spout section only turns out to be a warm-up, as Bayonetta eventually finds herself flying through Paradiso skies, fighting 3 of these golden dragons at once. That is a lot of bling flying at you. Number 3, All the Dragons, The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim. The world of Tamriel is filled with so many wonderful creatures, from minotaurs to giants to even automatons, so it's really not surprising that dragons would turn up at some point. The only question is why it took 5 games to get there.
No signs of any dragon right now.
As the main focus of the 5th entry to the series, the dragons are arguably Skyrim's biggest high point thanks to their mostly random encounters and the challenge they can put your character through. Whether you try your luck with a bow or go in for a much more up-close and personal approach, there's sure to be a struggle awaiting you here. Number 2, Onyxia, World of Warcraft. While we could have gone with the humongous Deathwing from the game's 3rd expansion, Cataclysm, we decided to go with his daughter Onyxia instead. Located in the Dustwallow Marsh, Onyxia's lair was one of the online game's hardest dungeons at the launch due to all the preparation and involvement required for you and your 39 other teammates.
That's the 50 DKP minus! What the was that shit?
Yep, you needed 40 players to even think about trying this. While her attacks are devastating if you're not properly buffed up, the real challenge comes from avoiding getting knocked off to the side, thus awakening her whelps. It's one of the most tactics-heavy boss fights in the game, and still remains one of the most memorable for players who tried it.
Whelps! Left side! Even side! Many whelps! Now handle it!
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
It is, as they say, your funeral.
Number 1, Grigori, Dragon's Dogma.
What is your purpose here, Arisen? If you sought to live, you had naught but run and hide yourself away.
Taking the top spot, we have this behemoth from the fantasy-inspired RPG developed by Capcom. Upon our first encounter with Grigori, he manages to quite literally steal our heart, leaving our protagonist as an Arisen. After a while, our hunt leads us to a temple where he gives us a choice: live forever and lose your love interest, or fight and free the lands from his terror.
The decision is yours, Arisen. Now, choose.
Going with the latter, you're treated to an epic showdown complete with running, fighting, shooting, and climbing, amounting to a final stand with you and your pawns. It brings together some of the most epic elements we've seen in other games, and leaves you feeling like the biggest badass in the room when it's all over. Do you agree with our list? What's your most heroic dragon-slaying tale?
Whatever meaning life holds, it makes men deaf to all reason.
For more ferocious top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.